After the birth of the golden child in China, more and more people with superpowers began to be born in the world. Along with the ability increase in crime, soon 50% of the population was quirky. The protagonist Deku was alone in his class with no abilities. All graduates from the 3rd grade are sent to a group of heroes, but Deku and Kachin are going to high school. Kachin makes fun of him after learning about his desire to come with him. On the way out of the school, Deku is attacked by a monster. He nearly suffocated him as one of the very old heroes that Deku adored as a child showed up and saved him. Leaving his autograph, he was about to fly away when Deku grabbed his leg. The hero brought him to the roof where the boy asks him how he can become the same. It turns out that All Might, Deku's childhood hero, received a wound 5 years ago, and therefore can only be in the form of a beefy giant for no more than 3 hours. He's missing half of his respiratory system and his stomach has been cut out. He also tells Deku that even without the quirk, he can become a hero. The monster caught by All Might bound Kachin, who accidentally released him. Arriving heroes cannot inflict any wounds on the monster. Deku sees Kachin and, unable to restrain himself, runs towards him. Finally, All Might reappeared and defeated the monster with one blow. On the way home, Deku meets All Might again, who thanks him for his help. He says Deku can be a hero. All Might invites Deku to inherit his power. Deku is in complete shock, but still can't find any reason to refuse. All Might began a training that lasts 10 months because if Deku takes power now, his body will burst. This year, he had his high school exams, so he had to balance his studies and grueling workouts. Exactly on the last day, Deku managed to finish cleaning the beach from tons of garbage. The Almighty admired him and tearing off his hair, he sent to eat it. On the same day, there was an exam, but Deku had not yet had time to test his strength. Only 1 out of 300 people passed the high school exam, so the chances were very slim. The members recognized Deku and laughed at him. The essence of the exam was to get the most points, and you can get them for killing monsters. Deku was losing because he didn't understand how to use the power yet, but at one moment the most powerful and huge monster appeared. At one point, Deku pounced and killed him with one blow, but there were consequences. He was able to jump so high, but he could no longer land. An arm and 2 legs were broken. He wanted to make another landing, but another participant caught him with her quirk. As a result, Deku had 0 points. After the practice exam, Deku couldn't contact All Might. The day has come for the results. Deku knew that it would not work, and therefore he was very sad. When the letter arrived, there was a projection of All Might where he confirms that he scored 0 points. It turned out that the girl that Deku saved from the monster told about her rescue. But at school, Yu also gives points for saving, which he was given as many as 60. Deku is accepted. After the letter, All Might contacted him. He confirmed his admission to Yuuei High School Live. He arrived at the school where he was greeted with admiration and questions. Here, unlike in high school, students were allowed to use quirks. The teacher warned that the last place winner in the first exam would be expelled. Deku was very nervous. The first test was a 50 meters run. Deku ran in 7 seconds. Not a very good result. The second standard was the strength of the grip. The third is the long jump. A few more standards passed and Deku realized that he needed to prove himself at least in something. He wanted to use force, but his throw of the ball was the most common. The teacher ended up with a quirk that stops the powers of others. He warned Deku about controlling his power. Here he gave his best and coped no worse than others. Kachin was furious because he knew that Deku did not have a quirk since childhood. Izuku's teacher says that it was a rational ploy about exclusion, but on the list, Deku ended up last. The next day was All Might's basic hero training. Each student was given a personalized costume. For Deku, All Might picked up a costume that hinted a bit at his costume. The Almighty divided everyone into 2 and began to conduct team fights. Deku was in the same group as the girl he saved. They were the first, and Kachin and Ida were against them. One team was supposed to defend the point and the other to capture it. Kachin attacked Deku from around the corner, but Deku had anticipated his blow. Deku's team won, though Deku was again badly injured. The rest of the teams fought on. Among them were several heroes adopted on the recommendation, which were significantly different for the better. After all the battles, All Might visited Deku, who had already been cured. When Deku emerged from the infirmary, he was greeted with respect as he rebuffed Kachin. He also sees that Kachin has gone home. Deku catches up to him and talks about his power, but does not say who it comes from. Kachin thinks that Deku is bullying him even more. A group of reporters try to talk to All Might, but the school's walls close in on people without IDs. Today it was necessary to choose the headman. After the end of the voting, surprisingly, Deku got the most votes. Ida respects the leader in Deku, justifying this with his ability to make important decisions in critical situations. A siren sounded, causing the students to panic. It sounded because of the press, which overstepped the bounds. Ida, among the crowd of students, was able to get their attention and calm them down. In class, Deku passes on the title of prefect to Ida. The school was attacked for real, and Aizawa, having evacuated the class, went into battle alone. One monster teleported to the group of students. The alliance of villains needed the death of All Might, but he wasn't at school today. All students were scattered around the territory, depending on their quirks. Deku was surrounded on the ship with two others. He decides to use force. With his strike, he creates a funnel in the water, and all opponents are defeated. Deku thinks they should go to the main square to help teacher Aizawa. The rest of the apprentice groups are coping with their heaps of villains as well. Aizawa manages to deal with a horde of opponents, but one from behind attacks him. Deku sees this and goes into shock because the strength of this villain, Nomu, is equivalent to All Might. Looks like that was the plan to kill him. Elder Ida was told to run and call for help. The villain commander Black Mist tried to detain him, but the other students detained him as they found a part of his physical body in him. Another head of the opponents saw Deku and attacked his team. They were lucky because Aizawa managed to erase his quirk. Deku used a punch, but surprisingly his arm didn't take any damage. When the fog cleared, it turned out that the blow hit the most powerful opponent. Ida ran to the Almighty and he immediately came to the students. Upon arrival, the Almighty carried all the students to a safe distance and grappled with the main opponent, Nomu. The villain had a damage absorption quirk. Nomu's task was to immobilize All Might when the Black Mist was supposed to close the portal and kill him. Kachin and the rest of the groups arrived and helped All Might free himself. The Black Mist was immobilized. Nomu also appears to have high regeneration. He, getting out of the ice, snatches the fog and all the villains are back in the ranks. All Might had about a minute left before he was no longer in hero form, and he understands that Nomu's damage absorption should have a limit and gives all the best. With a huge number of blows, All Might knocks all the power out of him, and with one powerful blow, he sends him into space. The rest of the leaders were no longer so sure. Black Mist notices that All Might has been hurt and tells Shigaraki, the second in command. All Might had already exceeded his limits and was about to turn into an ordinary person. They decided to attack the Almighty, but help arrived and the enemies were defeated. Deku misses with a swing and breaks his legs again. The rest of the teachers know about All Might's weakness and cover him from the students. All Might thanks Deku for buying him some time. The detective arrived at the school and said that apart from Deku and the teachers, no one was hurt. The police found Noma in the woods, far from the school. He offered no resistance because he attacked only on orders.